All right, welcome to another edition of Greg and Greg, and today we're here at NTPRS 2017 in San Antonio with Lance Piantaggini. He is a Latin teacher from Massachusetts, and he teaches Latin with Comprehensible Input. Thanks for sitting down with us, Lance.
Pleasure's mine.
Our first question is,
Well, I'm standing.
Right, thanks for standing next to us.
Upping the cool factor.
Yeah.
Too.
So, what is it with Latin? Isn't it a dead language? Like, why even bother taking Latin?
Well, Latin is dead in that there are no native speakers. Okay, I think you can find that. That's an official definition somewhere. But why take Latin? Why take photography? Why choose to do anything we like to do or have interest in? Quite honestly, if you want to take Spanish, take Spanish. I could give reasons for how Latin can help us, learn more about ourselves. I've heard someone say we're 3/4, like the Romans. We're 3/4 of who we are, what they gave to us, what we're doing in society. I mean, might be a good idea to pick up a little bit of that language.
Well, for me, I've always thought that anytime you could engage with if you're any kind of scholar, anytime you want to engage with the original text, you have to know the language of the original text. I mean, even a biblical scholar needs to go farther back than Latin.
Sure.
And so you have people studying Aramaic.
The way I see it, I think we have utility on one hand, all these reasons, and then we just have interest.
It seems like in the American school system, we're very concerned with utility lately, with the standardized testing and the focusing on nonfiction reading and everything like that. Now, how did you get into Latin? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, Latin? I switched colleges 3 times. I switched majors 3 times. I have what you might call a checkered past, like academic past. I was studying music.
My brother.
I was studying music and realized what I wanted to do with music. I had kind of studied all I could and didn't need a degree. Looked through the course catalog. When I got to classics, I thought classics was like Gone with the Wind. Classic American, whatever. So history was on my list. Astrophysics was on my list. Too much math. When I discovered classics was a smaller part of history, I said, okay, yeah, I like the Greeks and Romans. Let's do that. You typically choose Latin or Greek to study. I chose Latin. I think it was the right choice.
Awesome. And did you always teach Latin with Comprehensible Input? Or?
No, it was horrible. I didn't even learn Latin through Comprehensible Input, and when I graduated, I couldn't read a text. I need, right now, in order to read most ancient texts, I need a grammar book, I need some notes. It's something that's way beyond my level because I was not given comprehensible input. If that can put things into perspective.
So how many years were you a more traditional Latin teacher, and at what point did you transition into TPRS?
Well, thankfully, I had almost no transition. Right out of grad school, I was teaching for about 3 months before I discovered more TPRS, the list. I signed up for my first TPRS workshop, and I'm starting my 5th year teaching. So I don't have the transition some people are struggling with. I knew there was a problem with how I was teaching. I went to my mentor and asked what was going on, and she said, oh, well, the kids never get that. And I said, okay, why are we teaching it? She didn't like that answer, and so I decided I was on my own and looking at why the kids never get that.
Teaching for the one kid in the class instead of all kids in the class. The one kid that always got it, and teaching to them instead of teaching so that everybody learns and pulls themselves up.
Right. Yeah, that I had a problem with that grammar translation approach, found something else. I'm here.
Okay, Lance, so could you tell us what a typical day would look like in your classroom? Like, what activities do you do?
Sure. So I have a lot of routines I've stolen from other great teachers. I have a class password. I do greet my students at the door. I do have some playing cards that I hand out to them. Maybe we talk about the numbers, right? How do you teach the boring stuff? Chris Stoltz. How do you teach the boring stuff? Just throw them in there. So I greet them, we talk about someone, I get the password, they match their card to a cards taped on seats. So I have random seating every day, never in the same place. No one gets too comfortable, but no one gets bored.
Do you also do deskless?
I do have a deskless classroom, yes. I also have desks around the perimeter of my class, so if we ever need to use them, I have forma. I call forma prima, and we go to the first form of the desks and chairs, or forma secunda, and they move the desks and chairs pretty quickly into whatever arrangement we need. I'm big on PQA. I'm big on the Latin version of La Persona Especial. We came up together to call it Discipulus Illustris, the illustrious student.
Wow.
Class is all about students and their stories. And then we can get to read some fun Latin myths. In a comprehensible way that's level appropriate, meaning adapted text that they understand. Because, like I said earlier, I can't understand very many unadapted texts because of how I was taught. These kids are getting some ancient literature they can understand.
Now, do you have to write your own texts then?
Yes, a lot of work. I appreciate all the work that people have been doing with embedded readings. It's helped us out. Or if we don't have the means to do an embedded reading, we can at least do tiered versions of classical literature in place of leaving out details, compelling details, those hooks, and more information. I think that's the first step for a lot of teachers.
Do you do movie talks in your class?
Yeah, I do movie talks, and I want to do a lot more of them.
I think if I could really justify it to myself, I would do movie talk, and that would be my entire curriculum.
Would it? That's, yeah. Sometimes I mix movie talk and story asking all the time. There is a script for a lot of stories. I mean, especially if you preview the movie, you know where it's going. But I like creating events with some stuff in the frame. Like, oh, that character doesn't have a speaking role. What's his story?
Oh, that's
Where
interesting.
did he come from? And then we story ask and dramatize.
What would you recommend if someone wanted to learn Latin on their own? How do you get comprehensible input in Latin?
Wow.
Because, you know, I've had an interest in Latin for a few years, and, you know, I did take a class, but it was all grammar, and I eventually dropped
Well, if
that.
you go to magisterp.com and buy my book, we're just starting to get comprehensible novellas in Latin, some with very low word counts, some high interest that you could read by flipping back to the book and establishing meaning if you're motivated. Because motivation counts for a lot, at least for language teachers who are willing to be the autodidacts.
Because I noticed that, like, Brandon Brown Wants a Dog, they have that in Latin.
They do. In
So
fact,
maybe like switching between the two, you know, having the copy in Spanish and then having the copy in Latin and kind of establishing meaning that way.
and I have that book in Spanish, French, Italian, and Latin. So I have used those books to learn a little bit of Italian.
I remember somewhere on your blog saying that you were also a Spanish teacher. Is that right?
I have taught Spanish for a brief time to 7th grade students who didn't know that who couldn't tell that I was not very proficient.
Oh, I see.
It was a tough circumstance. I was the 3rd teacher they had by December. Just kind of went in there. Everyone knew I was also picking up Spanish and French at the same time as having to teach them later. And you know what? Because we went slow, because we sheltered vocabulary, those kids were able to pick up some Spanish without having a perfect model. I'm by no means perfect. I understand that. But they had a fun time. And those kids can understand some Spanish.
So, as we start to wrap up, what's your sort of vision for yourself and your direction and your teaching over the next several years?
Okay, so I want to improve my craft. I want to improve my TPRS skills, story asking. I want to expand my storytelling repertoire. But I know that I'm only going to focus on 1 or 2 new things each year. I really thought that was a great thing Blaine Ray said. He's identifying 2 things he wants to improve on with each workshop. I think that's great advice.
Karen echoed that in her coaching session this morning.
Excellent. Yeah. Take it slow. Focus on a couple things while you're getting comfortable with it. And you know what? Actually, I should add. I feel like some people start trying so many things, they lose sight of what it was that works really well and that they do well. I think a lot of people can lose sight of the fact that you can spend days with just a few words. In our advanced workshop, Alina and Jason used 11 Romanian words. Dracula! we were actors in the story.
Ce interesa?
Oh yeah, right. So with those rejoinders and 11 words, it was so exciting. We didn't have to go further out of bounds.
I wish we'd done a quick ride. It would have been interesting to see how far we could have come in just really a few hours of it.
Well, in the power of comprehensible input, I went to sleep with the din. I had Romanian playing in my head.
So tell us a little bit about your blog. You have a blog out there with some resources, and also I like that you provide the service of editing Tea with BVP. So, if you really don't want to hear Bill saying, "I'm so tired," like for the first 10 minutes of the show, you could just get to straight to the SLA meat.
Well, I think everyone should listen to the full length of the show. But if you just need the meat and you need to consult it,
right.
Or if you really only have a half an hour before you go back to re-listen, I have to listen to those episodes 2 or 3 times for it to really get in, so I understand the concepts. This is SLA. He's making it most accessible, except it still is SLA. These are some concepts a lot of teachers struggle with. We didn't really have them in our methods. The one methods course we took in teacher training.
That's true.
So yeah, I do have highlight clips from that show on my website, magisterp.com.
Okay, and I'll put that on the bottom of the screen.
Cool. And awesome. I have some materials, a lot of theoretical rants. Everyone likes a good rant now and then.
That's right.
Stirring the pot is always good for conversation and moving our craft forward.
I agree.
And there's a lot of that going on right now. So it's great.
Yeah. On a personal level, you definitely have this hipster look going. You got the beard, you got the tattoos. Or what is that? Are you into punk rock or?
No, but I am in a dark rock band.
Really? Do you sing in Latin?
No, I play drums.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's not quite
like
metal.
Oh, okay.
It's not quite metal, but it's heavy and grim at times.
Do you have anything on
musicality?
YouTube or?
Musicality is really off the charts. We don't have
Is it
anything.
like death emo?
We have an album on SoundCloud. Am I about to plug my?
Yes,
Yeah, let's plug it. We
Alright.
definitely want to.
It's Zophin Override.
You have to spell that.
You're gonna have to spell that, yeah.
You're gonna have to put it on the screen.
You have to spell that out.
ZOPHIM OVERRIDE. Zophin Override.
Right.
SoundCloud.
Awesome.
This is
Yeah,
our
check
first
it out.
album.
I'll put the link down
Got
below
another
in the
album coming
description.
up.
Awesome.
Background music for your classes? Maybe. We'll find out.
During some FVR,
Not advisable, but this could be just for teachers.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Lance.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Looking forward to the rest
I'm gonna give
of
the Gregs a hug. See you.